Hello everyone, Magdalena here, Wolf of Coins. Welcome to another Tarot de Marseille video. Yesterday I was chatting with my friend Asha, and she asked me a question about how I read Tarot de Marseille for more, how to say it, like deeper, more personal, intimate topics, not like foretelling the future, but more about our insides. For example, when you're doing shadow work. And I thought that it would be best, well, the best thing to do would be to sit with her and just show her how I do that. But we live in different countries, so so then I thought that the next best thing would be to make a video about it, and maybe other people would enjoy it too. So so I will make a reading that will be just a sample imaginary reading for an imaginary person, because I do these prompts from Asha's Shadow Work October series, but I don't post too many of them in video form because it's a kind of private. so today we will be looking at the cards for an imaginary person. I called her Martha. I think once before I already had an imaginary querent called Martha, and I decided she's a woman around 30, and the prompt for shadow work was what do I need to forgive myself for? And when I do these prompts, I usually design like kind of like a little series of questions, like 2 or 3, so I can see the topic more clearly. These days I use decks with scenic pips for that, but that's that's one way to do that. And today I wanted to do the Tarot de Marseille, so it will be like for each, if you could say it, if you would make a spread, for each position in the spread I will have a 3-card sequence, because that's how I read Tarot de Marseille. Just a sip of tea, and I spilled some, of course. Man. But not on my cards, just on the desk. Okay, so the first question would be, what do I need to forgive myself for? The second would be, how am I supposed to do that? Because knowing what is not always enough. Not enough to point us in the right direction, so I ask also why. And the last sequence will be an advice. So the first 3 I got, look at that, I got only majors. And that's what sometimes happens even in Tarot de Marseille, because some people think it's like pips all the time, but no, sometimes you get only the majors. So here we can have various interpretations. If you're reading for yourself, like you're doing shadow work, you usually know what the topic would be, like you see yourself in the cards. So let's try and see a topic here. So we have this gentleman here. It's the charioteer with 2 horses. Then there's the sun with 2 children, possibly, and the sun, and the judgment card with people getting out of their graves, and this angel with the trumpet. So what I see here, what I see in both cards here, it's 2 creatures, 2 horses, 2 children. Here we have 3. But also these 2 are the same color, and we see their faces, while this one is a bit, incognito. We only see the back of this person's head, and it's a blue person, so a different color. Maybe like kind of a spiritual, while they are flesh colored, they are more, how you say it, in material world. So what I thought about could be, for example, maybe this woman, she has children, because there are these children too, and there are 2 here and 2 here. And maybe she is like, she's very strict with them. She, like, she dominates them. She has these, like everything in the house is in order and everybody needs to do their tasks. And she's, she's this, like a chief here, and they are these horses. Then there are these 2 kids, like having a relationship probably with each other, but she's still there. She's supervising, okay? She's looking as the son. They are never alone. And lastly, we have the Judgment card. So maybe she's also like a strict judge towards them. Maybe these are these 2 kids, or maybe even yeah, it might be these 2 kids, for example, here, and she's again here judging them. This is one interpretation, but then it all depends on the situation. You might also see a kind of person who, so in this instance, she would need to forgive herself for being very strict towards her family. Maybe the family is also like 2 kids and the husband, because he might be included here as well, or this one. And so she maybe thinks that she's too overprotective, too controlling, and she sees this as, it's as too much. But the cards say you need to stop accusing yourself all the time. This is one story we could see in these cards. But another that I thought of would be, again, this is our Martha here, and she has these 2 here. Maybe it's a job topic. So in her job or in her life, maybe there is job and there is home life. There is job and there is her dream. Like there are 2 things. Maybe there are 2 projects that she tries to ride on with, control both of them. And again, she's here supervising them, so she's very engaged here. But then even when they can stand on their own, they're pretty free, she's still supervising here. She's very involved. And then the time comes that the moment of truth, and it's like, listen, you're not doing well enough with both of them. Maybe you should even do something else, because they're your 2 things, but there is another thing you should take care of. Maybe these are the 2 that she's focusing on, right? And but there's another one is maybe another problem is growing, and you should focus on that thing. So she might feel very overwhelmed by all that. Maybe this is all too much for her, but she feels like she's failing. Okay? Maybe she thinks she ought to do everything perfectly, but the problems that just keep sprouting from those graves, and she cannot deal with it all. This might be another story, right? And I actually, because I looked at the card before so that I could, present you some interpretation here. So I went with the second story, and this is why. So, this is how Now, how am I supposed to deal with it? How am I supposed to forgive myself? So, what we see here is the Page of Coins, the Six of Wands, and the Hermit. And again, what we see, there are two objects, two coins here, two flowers here, and they are different than in the previous set, because in the previous set they were horizontal, right, next to each other, somehow equally important. But here, look at that. Here, one coin is buried in the ground, and the other one, the page is looking at closely, examining closely. And again, here we have this X that separates these two flowers. And they are, as I said, they are not vertical next to each other. They are horizontal, and they are split. And then there's the Hermit with the lamp. So I thought this is saying that maybe with those two projects of yours, you should try and focus on only one of them at a time, because and then see what comes out of it. So here, this coin, just put it aside, because you won't deal with all of the things that are going on, right? So pick one first, split them, like make your problems smaller in a way, like make smaller tasks for yourself. Split the problem, and then you will not be so overwhelmed. You will be able to have some like peace, to look calmly at things, examine them at your, like, not leisure, but be able to examine them properly. And then maybe it will help you not blame yourself anymore, because you will see that you are doing something. That it's not like you're failing. You're doing something, you're trying, you're working. So it might help you. And then advice. I got the Stars, King of Swords, and the Ten of Wands. So, what I saw here was, look at her. She's, it's one of my favorite cards in tarot, really. Especially in Tarot de Marseille. But yeah, she's emptying these two mugs. It's two pitchers or mugs that she's emptying. And so those two problems that she had, those like both things that she wanted to do, maybe just lessen the pressure, like remove a bit of this water. So, and then look at that, look at this first card that we had. And on his arms, his armor, there are those two faces. And again here, this king too, he has the same faces here. So it might be like the same person. But this one is standing here, riding somewhere. And he is sitting down, and he's looking there. And what he's looking at? It's like a net or a fence of some kind. So I think that you should look at your limitations, like sit down, just let yourself sit down and calmly look at the situation that you're facing, this fence. And if you don't stop like blaming yourself and putting pressure on yourself, if you don't release this pressure here, it won't be good, because it will block you. And lastly, I always look at the bottom of the deck, and I got the Death card, or the 13th Arcanum, because there is no name in most of Tarot de Marseille decks for this card. So yeah, this situation has to end, and it won't be easy for you. It will be like, even here we have these two heads, so maybe these both problems are in a way toxic for you. Like here we have these two that are flesh colored and the other that is blue, so maybe both of these are not good for you. Actually, you should behead them and start anew. Maybe. So this is how I would do such a reading. Please let me know what you think, if you have any questions or comments, and if you would like more videos like that, please let me know. If you've enjoyed, please hit the thumbs up button. It always makes me happy. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.